everyone, it's Brechtje and today I'm going to be reviewing volume 1 of Monstress, which is a steampunk comic that is published by Image. The writer is Marjorie Liu and the artwork is by Sana Takeda. It's actually pretty difficult to explain what the story is about. It's set in some sort of a alternate version of Asia, and you have the old gods that at this point haven't really interacted much with the world, so haven't been super important for the story. But apart from that, there are 4 different species that are important. You have the humans, the ancients, and the ancients have kind of animal-like appearances and they are supposed to have certain abilities, but I haven't really seen a lot of that yet. You have the necromancers, which are cats that can speak and they seem very philosophical. And lastly, you have the arcanics, and arcanics are kind of hybrid human ancients. The main character of the story is called Maiko and she is an arcanic, and what the synopsis of the story basically says is that she has a psychic ability to a certain monster. When I read that, I was expecting something different from what it actually was in the comic, but I don't really want to tell you too much about it because that'll spoil the story. The story is very much about Maiko being chased because of her psychic ability to this monster. This story is pretty violent and bloody, so if that's not really your thing, you might want to skip this one. I didn't really know much of the story going into it, and also there isn't a lot of introduction in the comic itself. It's really one of those comics where they just drop you in the middle of the story and you just learn a lot through flashbacks and narration. Because of that, I found the beginning of the story really interesting because you're really trying to figure out what the hell is going on. And also I thought the last part of this volume was really a lot of fun because there was just a lot of stuff happening. But there was a part in the middle that is mostly about Maiko and her psychic bond with this monster that I found a little bit less interesting because it was just focusing on that bond and it was just pretty dark about all the things that the monster did. And I personally don't really read a lot of horror because those kind of things are usually not really what scares me, but I feel like if you like horror stories then you probably would enjoy like this middle part more than I did. I just really wonder, we already get to see a lot of what the monster is capable of, and I just really wonder what the writers are going to bring to the next volume. Like how are they going to keep making it scary and really add something new to the story. I gave this first volume 3.5 out of 5 stars. Overall I quite enjoyed it, but I think that if you like horror more than I do, then you probably enjoyed this a lot more than I did. Something else I think that kept me from giving it a higher rating had to do with that I wasn't really able to connect to any of the characters, and I'm personally someone that always needs to find someone that I can feel connected with to really enjoy the story, but pretty much all of these characters seem to have some sort of dark side to them, so I found it just a little bit hard to really relate to them. The main character Maiko, I do think she is a really interesting character. I really loved learning about her history and her past. She's been through like really horrible stuff, but I thought it was really interesting to read about. My favorite part of the story was probably where we really got to know Maiko and learn about her past. I thought that was really interesting and I liked that more than actually reading about the monster. But again, I think that mostly has to do with horror not really being my favorite genre. I absolutely love the artwork for this comic. It's just beautifully drawn. The art style kind of reminds me of like an Art Deco kind of style. It's just really cool and it really seems to fit this dark story with like the dark colors that they use. They use a lot of black and what seems to be gold, and these illustrations were just absolutely beautiful. Also there's one character called Kippa, which is a young arcanic that looks like a fox, and he's just adorable. He's super cute and I think he really adds something to the story because if he hadn't been there, the story would have just been really dark and depressing maybe at times, but Kippa just really brought something cute and sweet to the story. So these were my thoughts on the first volume of Monstress. I thought it was pretty good. I just wonder how they're going to keep it interesting in the next volume. And I think at some point I'll probably pick up the next volume. I'm not really in a hurry to pick it up, but I am curious where the story is going to go. If you've read this as well, I'd love to hear your thoughts on it, and hopefully I'll see you next time. Bye!